Twitch. My name is William Paschall. I'm an international master based in Budapest, Hungary, and I'm originally from the United States. We are playing classical and blitz here with viewers from lichess and viewers watching Twitch. Players on lichess and viewers watching Twitch. You may be doing one or the other. But our normal challenges that we're accepting between 5+3 and 8+3 increment blitz classical chess. The point of my stream is to play a little bit, slower games than, say, your average blitz game. So I have time to commentate and kind of analyze and talk about the games a little deeper than your typical 5-0 or 3-0 game. Maybe we can learn something about the game, not just play lightning fast chess for the sake of entertainment purposes. So that's our main focus, trying to improve as chess players here on my stream. I'm getting a lot out of it, and I think you guys are getting something out of it, and it's really positive idea, just to get better at the game. Anyway, I've got 5 challengers. We are going to choose from them at random. Plucro, Mule Skinner, Lousy Dirty Cheater, Aldous Stone, Mastermind. All of you guys have played me quite a bit. Yeah, I've actually created a poll using MooBot. So I want to ask everyone. I want to ask everyone how you feel better about the challenges. Like, should we take the challenges in the order that they're created? Therefore people kind of like coming before the stream starts, starting to challenge me. In some cases, like before I even arrive on lichess, or should we do what we've been doing the last couple of days and randomize the challenges to make it like a little bit more chance that the people who come later have a chance to play, because that's kind of the issue. It seems like people who come later don't ever get a chance to play, and it's often just the same guys playing again and again. So we've created a poll on the Twitch stream if you'd like to respond to that, basically. Okay? So we want to get your feedback about whether or not this is a good idea. But I'm going to keep it in place for today, that we're going to randomize the order of challenges. So, without further ado, we're a little bit late. 5 challenges. I do accept Chess 960 challenges. Maybe like 2 or 3 at the most, because we usually play 8 to 10, 11 games max. A challenge 4, Aldous Stowe. Aldous Stowe had been unlucky the first couple of days with the random challenges, but today he gets selected first. And, just sort of ensuring that it is truly random now, we know. Knight on A1. This is not good. But otherwise, everything is fine. So getting that piece into the game is going to be a bit of a chore. I think we can castle, and therefore maybe we'll open with the queen pawn game with the intention of castling queenside and playing knight b3. I guess I'm a little too defense minded, when I'm starting these positions in Chess 960, because I'm thinking about my bad pieces. I'm thinking about my king safety, but I'm not like looking aggressively at what I can do to attack the other guy. I mean, he has a weak point on a7. That doesn't seem easy to exploit. But I think it is kind of a mindset thing. My last official tournament I had 1 loss and 8 draws, and I think, first of all, I need to be a little bit more aggressive, and fighting a little harder. But maybe part of it is like having a defensive mentality, a little bit too defensive mentality. I'm very good at defense, I'm very good at prophylactic thinking, but maybe I need to be a little bit more aggressive. Knight f6 here. Looks like a normal chess game at first glance. We are going to castle queenside, most likely. And I was thinking f3. But honestly, after f3, d5, the f3 inhibits my knight, and I'm not sure if f3 really works here, but I could try it. Something interesting. If he does play d5, I decided to play this because he doesn't have an easy e5. Maybe we can play like bishop f2, and support that control of c5 to stop him from playing c5. Also knight here. Kind of a weird opening. Queen's Gambit type of stuff. Might work later down the line. I'm not getting mated. Alright. You're on your second cup of coffee. Mule Skinner. I wish I was on my second cup of coffee. I have my first one here. It was pretty old. Made it this morning. Like really early in the morning. And I didn't get to drink it till now. I could use a really, really fresh coffee, actually. Yeah, I like this e6. He's playing for c5. I can't play castles queenside till I move my queen, by the way. Got some interesting possibilities for the bishop on e1. But I'm thinking, like, if I do bishop h4, he just does h6, g5, and I could end up simply losing time. I really want to prevent any kind of freeing breaks for black. This looks awfully slow, though. My formation looks a little bit slow. Arsenal fan Rich. Yeah, I was wondering where you were, too. I mean, I guess you have a life outside of lichess and playing chess in general. And the weather has been pretty crazy. It's been nice, but today was like cold here. The temperature dropped 10 degrees like in one day. At least it feels like that in the house. I live in one of these old buildings that keeps the temperature, so if it's hot, it just stays hot, and if it's cool, it stays cool. Sometimes the building feels very cold, even when it's hot outside. This is a bit of a strange, creepy crawly setup I've got going on here. But I'm thinking about stopping, again, prophylactic thinking, my specialty. Thinking about stopping c5. If anybody wonders why I play like I do, you know, it's very possible that, you know, this use of so much prophylaxis, it's very possible that I've been far more influenced by Anatoly Karpov than I had ever really imagined. Knight h3. It's a kind of chess vampirism where we basically try to suck the life out of the opponent's position and prevent everything they can do, you know, and then start slowly taking over. Yeah, we opened a poll. Too tired yesterday, able to watch today. There's the f7 weakness here. But I wouldn't recommend knight g5 anytime soon. Anyway, I need to focus on development. I like this bishop b5. Actually, Aldisto killed me the day before yesterday in a really nice Just 960 game. Never enough coffee, huh? Well, the problem with coffee, like all other drugs, is that, you know, you develop a sort of tolerance to it, and also, you know, you need it after a while. You need it to feel good. h6. Speaking of prophylactic moves, at least I can castle. This is really only essential for the use of my rook. My king safety was not really the issue, but getting the rook in the game. Oh no. Okay, now we've got to deal with this, and I'm not extremely thrilled about it. Maybe I'm just gonna have to play e3. This is bad though. He gets a knight on that square, I'm toast. We have to play knight a5 to stop knight c4. queen a5 here. But it's complicated. He just plays, it's not complicated, he just plays a6. Oh man. I feel like I'm in a bad situation now. We are in serious trouble because of the knight coming to c4. And knight a5, knight a4. Okay, maybe that's not that clear. It looks pretty nasty though. Knight a5, knight a4, b3, bishop a3, check. King b1, knight b2, and he's like all over me. My knight's trapped on a5. Do you see how bad this is? I've hit the follow button loads of times on Twitch. Every time it seems to automatically unfollow. I don't know, is that about your Twitch account? Do you have to... Maybe if you try like logging in and unlogging in and logging in on your Twitch account or something. Alright, I'm just going to play e3 here. I don't like this position. We're in a bad state here. A very bad situation. I think I'm like positionally nearly lost because of the c4 square. This one square and outpost is enough to cast doubt on my entire position. Silly knight on b3. He had the same problem, but by playing bishop b5 first and then getting good control of c4, black has a massive upper hand here. It's probably like a pawn up, you know, his strategic control of c4. Black is so much better because of that. Perhaps I am logged in. No, it's not about that. It's about like something with the security authentication. I've had problems with my account. Sometimes I have to I have to log in and log out and log in again to be able to like use functions and stuff. I'm just wondering if that could be it. So I'm sure that you're logged in, but Twitch is kind of buggy and weird. Alright. Is there any thoughts here of queen e1 or... Queen e1 is interesting to go bishop g3 maybe. That'll never... Will that work? Queen e2. Man, I don't like this game. No, I don't know. In my case, like when I try to do things on my Twitch account, sometimes if they don't work, it's like something to do with security authentication, and you have to like, you have two-factor account verification or whatever, and if I try to do stuff where I update the news and the title of my stream, sometimes it just doesn't work, or try to move videos. It has to do with the security verification or whatever, and I won't be able to do stuff even if I'm logged in if I don't log out and log in again. And that's what I'm wondering, just like if that could affect your account, your ability to like follow or not follow. But it's kind of weird. I don't think that's what it is, but I can't think of what else it would be that would make you have to keep following me again. Queen e7. He doesn't want this pawn because his bishop will get trapped. And now He's threatening bishop a3 here. We've got to be very careful. Getting rid of our very unpleasant visitor here on c4. World Loser says is there any alternative to Twitch? World Loser, do you mean like for streaming in general, or how do you mean? I mean, I could do my streams on a different platform like YouTube or something, but I've been pretty happy with Twitch in general. It's I like it, although it has some bugs. I think it is good. Yeah, Plukro. Yeah, we could do that. Talking is easier than typing, I've noticed. Bishop b4. Oh no. I'm just losing the exchange here. Jesus. I just got massacred. Now hold on a second. We're doing a king walk. Maybe we can do a king walk. Now, obviously, this is not a safe situation, but oh man. Now is the big question. If I play king e2, he has queen a6 check, which looks just devastating. So I have to play king back to c2. Possible he missed this resource. Like I don't get forced. I don't lose by force, basically, immediately. If there's any justice in the world, you know, I have some way to survive here for a short time anyway. I don't remember like taking a king walk for a while. You know, I'm usually very, very careful about my king safety. But in this weird slow, it almost felt like I was playing the Dunst opening or something. Except the knight was on b3, which is even worse. It looks like we're hanging on for the time being, at least. We have 2 pieces for a rook and 2 pawns. And his rooks aren't really in the game just yet, so we're not hopelessly lost. That's a good move. That's the only move I was scared of, to be honest. Okay, knight f4. Knight f4, b4 takes. Takes, knight b3, knight d3. Let's get this guy in the game. Guy or girl, whatever you prefer. Your horse is to be male or female. I don't care, but I'm going to get it into the game and try to survive here. But I have noticed, you know, Twitch has a lot of little bugs here and there, fairly frequently. I hope I'm not blundering something. My knights control an awful lot of key squares here. We got a compact little unit with these minor pieces. I think we're in business here. Forcing a trade of queens. Those knights are amazingly difficult to do anything with. Pieces coordinate well next to each other. This is no exception to that kind of rule. Mr. Bishop. I don't know if you guys are old enough to be familiar with the movie Mutiny on the Bounty. Why don't I just chase that guy away? Damn. I can't win that pawn. Maybe knight a6 right away. Or knight c5, I'm trying to say. I'm so glad to get rid of this. Now we're actually like winning. Not winning, but we're better. Okay, I'm celebrating prematurely here. Two knights against a rook. It's a weird situation. Obviously the two knights are better. I'm not sure if this is even a good move. Wow. Ooh, he weakened the e6 square though. Not sure I can do anything concrete with that. I keep getting pinned. It would be good to trade a set of rooks. It's kind of annoying. Rook e8. Not what I envisioned there. Ambulances. I really need to just trade a set of rooks here somehow. Wow. Two knights and a pawn. He's got some counterplay. Knight, rook a3, rook d3. This really is certainly winning. Where's the mate? Please, no stalemates. Where's the mate? Excuse me. All right, I think we've got it under control now. Too many knights. Still not that easy to finish him off. That is kind of irritating. How do I make progress here? Not that easy. I feel like I'm going in circles. All right, try again. Try to get the forces coordinated. E4 was my big plan. I think we've got something here. E5 kicking him back, and then G5. Two clear passed pawns that he can't touch. Very strange noise outside the house. The H6 square is a little bit difficult to control, but that's okay. You know, it just occurred to me, yeah, we have to be careful about allowing two knights versus king. That's a serious issue. Two knights against king is a draw. There ought to be like some mating threats here. This pawn seems like it's sort of separated from the rest of my pieces, which I don't really like. I want to keep everything together. So everything's sort of balanced. I can advance both these pawns. This looks like it's gotta be winning. No surprise stalemates, please. Oh, if I go there, that would be a major blunder. And if I go there, that would be a major blunder. E7 check, rook takes, knight check. That actually works. Did he have to take? Could he have played king e8 there? By the way. Oh my god. Just stay away from my h-pawn. Okay. You got a nice square there on f8. You can go to. Wow, epic game. 83 moves for the first game. Is there a mate? Was there a mate somewhere? Oh man, I was toast out of the opening. I mean, f3. I don't know about f3. I mean, it just feels like a bad move. The engine thinks it's actually okay. I should play it as a pawn sacrifice. But anyway, I just want to go to the opening after the opening. I'm worse here. I'm seriously worse here. The computer doesn't think so. It thinks I could have played queen e1. Wow. Which I ended up playing anyway a few moves later. But, wow, that's interesting that my evaluation was actually too pessimistic. I'm thinking I'm like clearly worse and I'm not. And here I almost played queen e2. Now he is slightly better. Here he's threatening bishop a3, all sorts of nasty stuff. But I freaked out at this position. I should have just played king b1. It didn't occur to me. Man, king b1. I don't understand knight f4. Knight f4 to go to d3 to guard b2 against the threat of bishop a3 as well. So I had all sorts of resources. And this is actually a terrible blunder, knight d2. So I'm just too passive. I need to be more optimistic. And it's a miracle I survived here. This has to be a loss somehow. Bishop takes, queen check, king here. It's funny, it's not that obvious. Computer doesn't show a forced win. Just that black is clearly better. Maybe it needs more time. I'm sure that if I go to e2, I'm toast here. Yeah, king c2 takes, king takes. It's not that easy for black. Maybe he didn't have a forced win. I've got really, it looks like I've got a lot of lag. What's my ping here? Whew, got a massive ping. 141. Must be my internet. That is not good. Yeah, knight f4, knight d3. Alright guys, this was the first game for today. I didn't start out too well, but I think I'm a little bit too negative, too pessimistic. And it reflected in my move, knight to d2. I should have found one of the more reasonable moves, king b1 or knight f4, knight d3. Welcome everyone to my chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. I'm William Paschall. I'm international master living in Hungary, in Budapest, and I'm from the US. We do this Monday to Friday, every day 10 a.m. CEST, Central European Summertime. We will in a month be moving back to the US for 2 months and streaming from there, so the time will change. But anyway, I'm streaming today and tomorrow, and then I'm going to be away for a while, so playing in a tournament here. Let's just enjoy the time we have together. You have 30 pig? It's on your end, absolutely. No, I don't normally have this kind of lag. It's back down now to 43 milliseconds. It was just a wave of lag, I guess. Yesterday I had some pretty high lag too. Alright, let's start up the next game. I'm pessimistic. What am I doing? I was going to type ping. We're choosing the challenges at random. If you guys want to play, you can challenge me to anything between 5 plus 3 and 8 plus 3. How long will I be offline? Between the 11th and the 19th. Next week, no stream. It's a 9-day tournament, 1 round a day I'm playing in. What did I... Challenge number 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's bad because we lost number 9, I think. Bullet Blitz, he's back. Bullet Blitz is provisional, so let me try this again. We've only got 8 challengers. Lousy, dirty, cheater. I'm choosing challenge number 3. Guys, I have a poll. Our moderator, Blue Crow, and I created a poll to ask you guys, the viewers, if you think it's better to have me take the challenges in the order I get them, or if it's more fair to have me randomly, choose the challenges. So please respond to our poll on Twitch, and so we can figure out, what most people think about this question. Thank you. I want to get your input, because I'm really not sure. There's a possible solution that I create some sort of compromise. I was thinking about this. For those of you that prefer the challenges to be taken in order, and those that think that it's more fair for them to be random, what we can do is have maybe 2 days where I do it one way, and then 2 or 3 days where I do it the other way. And then everybody could be happy. We could have, say, 2 days where the challenges are selected randomly, and then take them in order the other 3 days, if I'm streaming 5 days a week. Right. I'm not going to accept any challenges. Maybe you should state provisional ratings on your annotation at the bottom of your stream window. Yeah, I'll probably add that. I don't think this exchange on e5 is very dangerous for black. It's amazing how often people do this, and now in this position, I was looking at this last 2 weeks ago, and surprisingly, I thought that c6 is the only move for black, but most players actually play bishop e6 here, and king c8. But I've been happy with the positions I've gotten with c6. Some experts I've seen play bishop e6 instead. But I've been perfectly satisfied with the games I've gotten with this normal c6, king c7 plan. What Lousy Dirty Cheater here did, it feels very aggressive to play bishop g5 and castle queenside, but at the end of the day, black just kind of gets out of this one threat here with the bishop a d8 mate. So it's a cute move, but once that's removed from the position, white's just got nothing. So I really don't recommend you, if you're a d4 player in these old Indians, don't play this exchange on e5, because white just doesn't get anything. He can even be worse if he's not careful. It's very easy to be slightly worse in these openings, especially if you play e4. And f3, f3, e4 would leave black better, probably. I'm going to attack that pawn on c4, and then force him to defend it. Occasionally you'll see piece sacrifices in some positions with this and this, but it's not happening here. Sometimes if the bishop is trapped on e6, I'll give you an example. I play knight here, and his pawn's on e4. He can play knight d5 check, trapping my piece. Now, Lousy Dirty Cheater played e3, which may well be slightly better than e4. I think that's a pretty wise decision by white here. e3 is a sensible move. I don't mind the doubled pawns too much. He would give up a very valuable piece, the dark squared bishop, with his pawn on e3 in particular, and quite a few dark square weaknesses in his position. Now, We just take a pawn. He's just dropping this. We just don't want to, jump at the chance to win a pawn through some sort of basis behind this sacrifice. Excuse me. I'm suffering some very serious allergy problems, but I'm okay. Don't be worried. I'm going to take the pawn. I don't know if this is just a blunder or a calculated sacrifice, but a pawn is a pawn. I'm not a materialist, but still, this is a very important pawn. It's anchoring his central control. I don't know. I think he just dropped it. I mean, he could have sacrificed it for some white square control. He might have a little bit of compensation. I don't know that I should even exchange bishops here, but then he has bishop takes a6. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility to play bishop e6, but now this bishop on g5 is sort of hanging out to dry here. This is a maneuver I would have made anyway. Usually knight d7 and then f6 to strengthen my center. Sarwan used to embrace the queen trade in this type of position. He said he relished playing these positions. Really. Well, Rich, they're all a little bit different, This is different than, say, e4, e5, d4, d6, pawn takes pawn, queen takes. I mean, you can do it in the Philidor, too. These positions are slightly different. To be honest with you, Rich, I think you've got to make a distinction between positions where white plays c4 and positions where white hasn't played c4. They're quite different. Because the pawn being on c4, means that white has more dark square kind of weaknesses. I think the exchange on e5 in a Pirc type of position or Philidor is more realistic for white because he doesn't have a pawn on c4. I don't like it as much with the pawn on c4. Yasser is one of the best positional players I know, so we have to be careful about not generalizing too much. Alright, so I need to develop my pieces, and I'm a pawn up, a clear pawn up. White might get a little bit of counterplay in some scenarios. I'm just thinking about knight here, just trading a set of pieces. Maybe, alternatively, I could play bishop e7. Just connecting my rooks. You could even play bishop b4 and trade the bishop for a knight. And still, his bishop is a bishop. It seems like it's got some potential. I think that bishops are usually, in many cases, a little bit stronger than knights. The old chess books from 100 years ago, I had one, the American Chess Player's Handbook or something like that by Staunton, which is like 100 years old. And in there, they value the pieces where the bishops. It's actually written in the index. It's like bishop is worth 3.5, and knight is worth Pawns. Dude, you can sacrifice a piece here for 3 pawns. Knight takes f6. Pawn takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Rook g8. Bishop takes e5 check. With kind of chaotic situation, and I think that might be a reasonable try. So let's just knock that possibility out of there. I was a little bit scared, not scared, but I didn't want to let the position get wild. You know, I'm a clear pawn up here, and I think you should avoid complications when you're up material. Staunton, Howard Staunton, he was one of the best chess players in history. For his time frame. I wouldn't be surprised if the average chess player doesn't know. Historical chess figures seem to take on less significance in this internet age. I like bishop g3. Maybe we go fishing here. A little fishing expedition with knight b4 check. I apologize for my my health issues, but I've got some serious allergy problems. Knight b4 check. A couple of ideas for this fishing pole, some might call it. I was hoping to get a knight maybe on d5 at some point, where it could be usefully placed, tying him down to the e3 pawn. It also drives his king back to a more passive position. And he wants to play f4. Sort of irritating move. My king is not really happy placed opposite his bishop on g3. So I'm thinking of walking out to b6 actually. To b6. Rook d8, f4, pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes check, king c8. It's got to be good enough for me. I could also walk out bravely with the active king on b6. Temperature here has gone down a lot, so I don't have to keep the window wide open, and you guys can't hear the ambulances as well as usual. City of ambulances, Budapest, Hungary. City of sirens, some have called it. So a3, well, yeah, I think I'm just going to centralize here. Tie him down. We're clear pawn up. Maybe put my king on a safer square like c8. Just stay solid. Just consolidate my position and slowly grind him down with this extra pawn. Thanks for sending me that info, Mr. Plucro, our moderator Plucro. He's been very helpful lately. Magnus, not a big Magnus fan. I'm sorry. I respect him, but I'm not a fan of him. Knight d5. Magnus is the strongest practical chess player in the history of chess, but I'm not a fan of his style. Maybe I should be. Maybe I could learn a lot actually. Not maybe. I mean certainly. But honestly, there's only so much time in the day, and if you want to learn the game, really, I would say pick some players that you like. And I'm going to do this myself. Pick some players that you like and just write them down. And then put it on the wall. And every day, look up some games that those players played and go over them. Do that. Don't play bullet chess, Study the games of these players whose styles you like, Maybe like 10 games a day. That's going to improve your game a lot more than playing, say, like bullet chess would. We didn't follow the, we being me, I just like to say that it's funny. I didn't follow Norway yesterday, guys. Can you update me on the results? Man, Lousy Dirty Cheater is being kind of irritating by not making bad moves. Making my life a little bit difficult. This is the way you're supposed to defend when you're down material. Keep making annoying threats. Don't make concessions. Don't trade pieces. Just don't exchange when you're down a pawn. He's not allowing any exchanges of pieces, trying to be kind of menacing and okay, now finally the D file starts to become an issue here. And that's good because an exchange of rooks probably is in my best interest. Any kind of exchanges of heavy pieces. I talked about this yesterday, pawn up ending. You want to exchange heavy pieces, not small pieces, not minor pieces. I could play f5, starting to put my pawns on the right color. There's something to be said for that. The knight is awfully well placed on e4. And he's headed for c4 now, which is a very strong idea. I'm going to play b5 because that's such a problem. I'm going to weaken my structure here. Keep him off of b5, off of that square. I won a similar ending yesterday. Was it against Lousy Dirty Cheater? Where I had like a pawn up? I think it was, ironically. Like the same thing where I was white and I was a pawn up on the king side, the queen side. c5 here. Man, he's really bothering me. Avoiding the trade of rooks is an excellent practical try. He's also prevented bishop c5. Man, this is just annoying and difficult to make progress. We have a new idea. Oh man, I've rook d2, but we'll save that for later. He could always play rook c2 at the moment. I think we're taking him down. Slowly, this queenside majority is starting to look pretty nasty. Still no easy wins. We've got knight c4. And maybe bishop h4 here. That lets him into c5. I think we can go. f4. I mean e4, f4. He's got a little bit of chances after that. Just dropped a piece. He forgot that his guy was attacked. I mean, it could be an intentional sacrifice, but I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, after rook takes c5, I just take on g3. He takes back, and then I play knight d7. And he only has a pawn for a piece. But if you look here, just... the statistics don't lie. White's score with knight f3 is 41% wins, 24% wins for black. With d takes e5, it's 26-27 in black's favor. I mean, that's pretty much tells you all you need to know about this exchange on e5. Have you seen Position Trainer? Oh, you guys are talking about what? Sorry I didn't watch the stream. When he got the pawn back, he was very slightly worse. He got outplayed. What was this? He had pretty good comp. Are you talking about this game? Magnus had... Oh, you're talking about Magnus. Okay. What? What was the actual results? Did anybody say? Can you guys tell me just if there was any decisive games yesterday in Norway? Just tell me the decisive results. That's all I care about for now. 2, 3, 4, 8 games. Anand Kramnik 0-1. Wow. Kramnik was winning in game 1 too. So we got challenge number 3. Teddy Kish, who actually was last in the list yesterday and didn't get to play. So that's kind of fair. There's some sort of karma going on. Guys, I have a poll on Twitch. If you think it's more ideal that I play the challenges in order, or if I take them randomly as I'm doing now. Guys, I'm going to be streaming today and tomorrow, and then I'm out going to a tournament. I'm playing in a GM tournament, a GM Norm tournament in Lake Balaton here in Hungary, starting Sunday. Wish me luck. Hopefully I'll be a little more aggressive than last tournament where I drew 8 games in a row after losing to Kovalenko. I don't like starting the tournament with a loss, to be honest. I have to get my rating like to 2450 because if I don't gain like 60 points or something, I'm going to keep getting paired down in these big tournaments in the first round, and it's just like very hard to start the tournament playing like a top player. I like to get warmed up a little bit before you play like 2600s. Anyway, I'm playing in a closed tournament. It's kind of a weird setup here by Teddy. It's basically kind of almost like a King's Indian with early knight d2. I could just play e5. He hasn't even played c3 yet, though. So... yeah, now it's back into normal King's Indian attack territory. He could play different setups with like knight e2 or f4 or something. So I wanted to see where I was at. He hasn't played c3 though. Does it really matter? No, I'll probably just play this anyway. I mean, c3 is usually almost always played by white at some point. Cosine says, because everyone uses chess base, that's only for Windows and super outdated. No kidding. I'm kind of sick of chess base. I mean, actually I had Chess Assistant for a while. I don't know if that's still even in existence. I actually liked that Russian program by Konvetka, but that was like back in 2004, and my laptop got stolen with my Chess Assistant on it. I never got it. I just never got it back after that. I started using ChessBase again. ChessBase is really annoying. Like you buy programs from them. I don't know how many times I bought ChessBase, like 3 times, and I can't even like log into a ChessBase account. And and I like request my password, and they don't even like send it to me. I'm super fed up with them. Bishop b2. At some point I should play maybe rook b8. Get my rook off the long diagonal. I know that it seems kind of weird at this stage, but it's a useful waiting move. d4. Sacking a pawn. Interesting. It just doesn't seem like there's an easy way for him to get that pawn back. But I have another plan here. Maybe bishop g4. Yeah, the problem is, if I do ed, this is Dvoretsky's normal approach, like ed, cd, bishop g4. But then h3, bishop takes f3, knight takes f3, and no, he's got nothing there. I guess I just have to take twice and ask him, you know, what are you doing? Like, you don't have knight b3. He obviously hung a piece here. I could offer him to take back this last move. He just dropped a piece. Kind of ruins the game. So I'll give him one take back. I'm just not sure what White's plan is. No, he thought he was taking back. I thought knight c4 maybe, but I can play b5. So now I just want to get developed. Actually, this pawn sacrifice was a similar idea was played against me in my last tournament, but a more sound version. White plays c3 instead of d3 in the King's Indian attack and just sacks a pawn straight up. I followed a game that Jeffrey Jiang had played and lost. Some relatively recent game. Other than dropping a piece, White's played interestingly here. I'd say he has some kind of compensation. Sheppy 13. I mean, ChessBase is a professional program. It's much better than lichess. Lichess isn't made to be like a professional chess program. I mean, for pros to analyze openings and stuff like that. It's more of a playing site that has features. I mean, for the professional player, it's really necessary to have a professional database program like ChessBase. But it's sort of a situation where they have a kind of monopoly. That's not good, you know, and there's not enough competitors offering alternatives to ChessBase. And I think that's why ChessBase is not that great, because they don't have enough competition. I know I've purchased like ChessBase 3 times at least, and I can't even like log into my ChessBase account, and they don't respond to my emails. So, you know, the other thing about ChessBase that I don't like is that how many times you purchase it, and you have to like buy it over again if they create a new version. You know, you can't just like upgrade your ChessBase. Basically, you have to buy it all over again or something like that. You know, you have ChessBase 10, now you have to like buy ChessBase 15. I mean, that just doesn't work in today's market. You know, software programs, you buy it and you should be able to upgrade it down the line. You know, so they're totally outmoded in terms of their marketing system. Should I just play like bishop h3 at some point? I don't know. I just need to develop my pieces, I think. My rooks are not really on the correct squares here. Yeah, I have the old version running, but obviously, you know, it sucks compared to the new ones. I think I have like ChessBase 10 or something. I mean, I'm not the kind of person who like illegally downloads software and stuff. I guess you could if you wanted to, but I'm perfectly okay with chess base 10. Just that there's some features, some upgrades I'd like to get, and I'm not going to buy it again for like the fourth time in my life. I mean, I first got chess base probably like in 1993, and when it first came out, that's probably the first time I got chess base. Then I bought it like 2 more times. So you'd think after buying the product like 3 times, I could get like an updated version. Queen d3. Just 95 here. Looks really good. All my pieces are coordinated. This move could have an issue though. He dropped his queen. Now it seems like Teddy has some talent, but he's dropping pieces. He dropped a bishop earlier, or dropped a knight earlier, now dropped his queen. But structurally he was playing well, and actually kind of combative, and sacrificing a pawn to get a better structure and stuff. But I'm not going to give him any more takebacks. Yeah, Fritz. They had computers in 1993. Dude, I had a computer in 1986. And I had an Apple IIc. I still have it, and it still works. It's like an antique. I still have a lot of software, games, really retro games for my Apple IIc, circa 19. Actually older than 86. It's probably like, it was probably 84, 85 when I got it. That's awesome. I still have the original monitor, printer, everything. Could probably sell it for a decent sum on eBay. But I actually have an old Chessmaster program, like the first Chessmaster program for Apple IIc. So I've got a lifetime, 30 years of experience with chess programs. Teddy is not gonna do too well here down a queen. One day I should do like a stream playing the Apple IIc. I thought about it, we could set it up. Somehow set up me playing Chessmaster on the Twitch stream. Alright, Chessmaster 2000, retro chess program. Let's see, it's 7 challengers. Plucro, it's challenge number 3. It always selects number 3. If this was like a dice game, I'd be starting to wonder. Mahmoud. I don't think we've ever played Mahmoud before, which is weird. I thought I played someone else named Mahmoud. I guess it's a fairly common name. Maybe Mahmoud is the guy who's following me sometimes, watching me play. I appreciate you guys who are like kind of rooting for me during my games when I'm playing on lichess. It's a really nice feeling to have kind of friends who watch your games. Mahmoud might be the guy. There was one Mahmoud who used to follow me when I played tournaments and stuff on lichess. The Chessmaster AI is so frustrating. They blunder mid-game, and then they play the endgame like a monster. Yeah, most of these programs are like that. It's really irritating, They just haven't figured out a realistic AI type of style where it makes believable mistakes. I guess just not putting enough time into the process of creating something like that. It's just not a big enough priority. But I mean, the same is with the stockfish here on lichess, and the different levels are really weird. Yeah, it doesn't really have a realistic, consistent sort of level. It's not believable. Okay, so 4 knights English, g3. There are many moves I can play in that position. I really have played the English most of my career. At some point, I started playing d4 and e4, but I started out with the English when I was a beginner, which is kind of a weird way to do things. I mean, I really think it's better to learn classical openings first, but I started out with English opening, and maybe I'm telling a lie, because I actually might have played the Stonewall attack first. That was the first opening. Before the English came the Stonewall attack. Now, ironically, Mahmud is playing a line that my chess computer played against me when I was starting very, very early. You can sack a pawn here with knight d4. I had the standalone computer. So this is a critical position in the reverse dragon. We can sack a pawn with knight d4 and have comp, but the main move is knight g1. And my standalone 2100 computer used to play this line for black. God, I played this position literally 30 years ago. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure that artificial intelligence is quite capable of playing a very human-like game, but it's just that the creators of chess software aren't real, cutting edge. It's just not a high enough priority thing. So this move is unknown to me. If you move the bishop, your b7 pawn becomes a problem. He is threatening some sort of bishop, queen f6 type of stuff with this move. But I guess I have to take here. It's some kind of long-term pawn sack. Queen e7. What's up with queen e7? Just trying to understand what it does other than attack my bishop. If it has some devious point. Not really, okay. Well, anyway, I didn't want my bishop on e4. I think I see his compensation here. I have no time to get fancy with something like knight h3. Maybe I should just... Nah, I mean, the problem is d4. d4, let's say, then e4. Well, if I do d4 and e4 just fully extend my center, I'm kind of overextended. Maybe it's good, but I have to be very precise. Other options, though, like knight f3. The problem with knight f3 is rook e8, and then I don't know what to do. If I play e3, it could get a little rickety. I guess there's not a lot of other options. I mean, knight f3 blocks my bishop on g2. So we go with d4 and then decide basically to play e4 or e3, which is better here. This is a very strange pawn sack by black. I mean, I wouldn't think he has enough compensation. But you have to be very careful not underestimate black's position. I mean, he has no weaknesses. And if you make one mistake, you could get in trouble. So it's important not to take it lightly. Objectively, it's an incorrect pawn sacrifice, but Just to throw out an example, like if I play e4, maybe he has f5, or I guess I could do something artificial like bishop e3, knight f3, rook e8, bishop e3, but then knight a5, knight c4, and I've got problems. Knight f3, rook e8, e3 might in fact be my safest. Plan here, because e4 kind of overextends. But he does have some compensation there. The other possibility is e4. Bishop f5, I can just play f3. I do have to watch for crazy sacrifices. Knight takes d4. e4, f5, e5. I mean, e3 just feels very passive to me. a4. a4 is a cheapo, trying to play bishop a3. No. We have to develop our king side. It's early here. We really have to be focusing on development. And Mahmoud is playing very practical chess very quickly. I have to castle. But this looks weird. Black has compensation for the sacrificed pawn. It's kind of scary. And he plays instant moves every move. I hope he's not an engine or something. I mean, obviously the pawn sack isn't really sound, but he definitely has followed up optimally. Sometimes I get paranoid that people are using computers against me. Sometimes I'm not paranoid at all, you know. But you have no way of knowing here. I mean, it's just that it's a new player with just like 40 games. So those players tend to be cheaters more often than established accounts. That's why I asked everybody to have like at least 50 rated games, a little bit of investment in your account. Mahmoud has 80 games played, so I assume he's not a cheater, but you never know. Yeah, he's got all sorts of tactics. Knight e5 at some point, coming in here. Bishop c4. Tactics along against my king. It's a really dangerous situation. That's why I was reticent to play e4. It seems like black has some practical compensation. I wouldn't think that someone would play such a pawn sacrifice in an over-the-board game. But as far as like practicality goes, I think it's interesting, and maybe it's a reasonable pawn sack. He's thinking for a long time here. Kind of a really long time, actually, on this move. Knight e5 is good. Bishop c4. Maybe even f5. What was the problem with d5 before the opponent played rook d8? I mean, dude, my king is just in the middle of the board. What did I do? It's like, dude, my king is here. You're just gonna get killed if you play d5. Queen c5. I mean, maybe there's some way that could possibly work. But it's a blitz game. This is not... actually, queen c5 is dangerous. Threatening mates. If it was a tournament game, I would have given some serious thought to d5, but I don't have time to calculate really dangerous variations. I'm trying to be practical. D5 looks dangerous. My knight wasn't even on e2 yet. I mean, if I get to king to h1, I don't know what he's doing. He left the game or something. Yeah, this is why I don't like playing new accounts. People do weird stuff. They'll just like disconnect from the game. Maybe we should change the rule to 100 games. 100 rated games required before I accept a challenge. No, he's thought too long here, and he's not disconnected. I have a question. When you play tournaments, oh, he's typing. What do you do when you're nervous? I just played a tournament and lost because of a legal move. That's where he spent all his time typing. Well, there's nothing to do about it. I was extremely nervous in my first tournament. I remember I couldn't sleep before I went to my first tournament. I was so excited about it. I think we need to get the king to safety here. I mean, I don't know what to say. You know, you have to get used to playing in over the board tournaments. I don't think there's an easy answer to that question. His piece placement is unbelievable. Look at his piece placement. What do I do now? Bishop e3 or something? He's all over me. Instantly, knight e5. I don't know, man. This is a little bit weird. Perfect piece coordination, pawn sacrifice. I'm probably in trouble here. Knight d3. I don't like my pieces being lined up, hanging on the file there. Now I'm going to have to play some really sick move like rook b1, or where do I go? f5. Well, could black play any more perfectly? This looks suspicious. Next will be like a queen sacrifice on e4. It plays perfect efficiency. What's next? Like c5? Another pawn break. Maybe I can finally play... I was going to say maybe I can finally play d5. This is a good lesson in hypermodernism by Mahmud. Damn, he's all over me. He doesn't move any pawns, you know, just the pieces. That's usually not a good sign. And there's c5. Perfect pressure. Can I try to trade a set of rooks or something? He's got take knight b4. Maybe rook d1 I should have gone. Not really sure where I should have put this piece in the first place. Look how perfect his coordination is. You don't play people who play like that. I mean, especially if they're not like extremely high rated. Perfect piece coordination. The first mistake, wow, knight d3. Because he's very low on time. Now he's just dropping stuff. Well, Mahmoud has a tremendous understanding of piece coordination. That's impressive. I mean, if he's legit. He only lost because of time and the blunder because of time. But I mean, I think right up to the end he had compensation. This is really strange. I mean, this pawn sack here. The computer plays f5. That's the recommended move. He just sacked the pawn here. This is a sort of variation where, like, if you analyze with the computer, Queen e7, his move is actually Stockfish's second choice. No, he didn't play Queen e7. He played Bishop c5. Bishop c5, Bishop takes e4. Queen e7. It's an interesting pawn sacrifice. I mean, he really has like long-term compensation. d4. Maybe e4 is the mistake. I don't know. That's the question. Do I play e3 or e4 here? Even Stockfish is like totally unsure. e3 or e4, e3 or e4. I don't know. So e4, Bishop f5, f3, Bishop e6. Now let's answer that question another person asked, what happens if d5? I'm like lost. Just lost after d5. Knight e2, rook d8, castles, Bishop c4. No, I can't play the same player twice, man. There's a lot of people waiting to play Mahmoud. And after this, it says he has enough compensation. Knight c5, incredible resource, equalizing the game. Interesting game, let's say. Blue Crow, Sleepy Mario, IK Corwin, Justice of Disaster, Dictator, Mule Skinner, Mind Trick, and DNA. DNA, if you're provisional, I really make sure I play people who have at least 50 games, but you got established rating. Okay. Let's do it. Credible understanding that game Black showed of piece coordination and like compensation for pawn, which is not obvious to the average player. That's pretty deep, actually. All right, challenge number 6. So, Mind Trick. This is a new opponent. Now, one fun thing about making the challenges random is that I'm giving a chance to some of these new players to take part, you know, that aren't here. And I think that's good for the stream in general. Arsenal fan not challenging us today. What's up, man? Are you still here? Still with us? You can always what? Build your own opening despite arrows. Cosine 180. There was this old program that was good for building an opening repertoire called, what was it called? Book Up. And okay, it's really like lame by modern standards, but I think that they should create a modern version of that program. The whole focus of the thing was to kind of basically create your own opening repertoire, a program to help you create an opening repertoire. And you could play a semi-Slav here. A modern version of Book Up would be awesome. So basically a program just for creating your own opening repertoire. But I guess there's just not enough market for that, you know. I mean, there are millions of chess players in the world, but not too many of them are. It's only a very small proportion of us who are very, very serious to the level of needing a specific program like that. What was the name again? Book Up. Is that what you're asking me about? The program? Book Up. It's an old program from the mid-90s. And I don't know how, up to what time they kept making it, but it was useful, just that it's, by modern standards, very outdated. H6 here. When black plays C6, in this kind of Queen's Gambit declines early, you don't need to waste time on this battle for the tempo with Rook C1. If you play the classical, Queen's Gambit like I do. I know it's very popular to play the exchange Queen's Gambit, but I think it's kind of a recipe system, and it's more, there's more to the game when you keep the tension in the center in the Queen's Gambit. The game is more complex than the exchange variation. I used to play the exchange variation against the Queen's Gambit too, but I find it's more sophisticated, you know, more interesting to maintain the tension. Really, I think white should play both exchange variation and these main lines. If you guys don't know me that well, I'm primarily like a d4 flank opening player, but I also play e4. My e4 knowledge isn't as good as my d4 and c4 knight f3 theoretical knowledge. I have played e4 quite a bit, but kind of on a case-by-case basis. Now, knight b6, this is rarely a good move in the Queen's Gambit, or most openings. There's always the proverbial question as to whether we put the bishop on b3 or d3 in such a position. Here, I really don't know. It looks like he's trying to play c5. But, I mean, playing c5 isn't going to be that easy for black. He'd have to jettison his kingside structure. I'm really not certain, you know, which retreat is better for white. What d4? c4 is becoming very popular. Well, I mean, it's always been popular, even 100 years ago. But you know, it's when you get back into the 1800s that it wasn't really very popular. Yeah, queen c7 looks bad. I mean, I thought it was interesting to try to free yourself with c5, even if it's a pawn sacrifice. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6, d takes c, knight b d7. When your bishop on f6 is strafing the diagonal, you might be able to get your pawn back on c5. I'm not sure I would even grab it, you know. And you could even play like c5, d takes c, or c5, bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6. And it's not that easy for me to crush black. But here I think now the queen is badly placed. And I can really shut down this freeing maneuver c5. Black's only breaks are c5 and e5. c5 and e5. Black wants to get rid of the bad bishop on c8 in the Queen's Gambit decline, as in the French defense too. But he's got a lot of problems here because he can't play e5, he can't play c5, he can't play b6, bishop b7 because his knight is on b6. So he's forced to do some kind of Steinitzian ultra passive defensive maneuver like bishop d7, rook d8, bishop e8, which is kind of slow. Then the golden rule is avoid exchanging pieces when you have less space. This is a key moment. He blundered. You could play knight takes c3. Well, I think you have to play knight takes c3 here. When I'm not sure which way I should play. I can play bishop takes c7, I can play rook takes c3, or I can play pawn takes c3. But bishop d6 just loses to knight b5, which is a kind of typical trap. Maybe he has to sack his queen for rook and piece. I mean, it looks now. Takes, rook takes. He's actually takes, rook takes. He's losing like a pawn too, so it's just lost for black. Really no other choice though. There's a combination of mistakes he made. I mean, knight b6 is the first one. The second one, I mean, this whole series of moves. I mean, some people would argue that d takes c is a mistake because you're giving up the center. But I think that it's probably a necessary evil. Black could play b6 though. That seems more solid. b6, bishop b7. If you play this position, I think that's probably the most fundamental thing to do. In fact, I mean, some grandmasters have played that position for black. I don't really like this line, if you want to call it a variation. I think Adams might have even played this recently for black, but I had a game with a strong IM here in Hungary once, Feher Gyula, where I beat him. I think he played d takes c, bishop takes c4, and b5, which is sort of the main idea. But Feher Gyula, I mean, he's so solid. If I can beat that guy, the position has to be bad. The guy's like a rock player in poker terminology. The equivalent of a rock. Extremely strong rock with excellent technique. D takes c4, knight takes c4. I think you mean bishop takes c4, Sheppy. I think that b5 is the main move there, but knight takes d5 is possible. But it's a bad Capablanca variation, you know, playing knight takes d5. It's probably better to play b5 and take your chances with that weird line. The key idea for white there is to play a4 at some point. It's a little more dynamic to try b5. After knight d5, I mean, it looks like one of the good games where like Alekhine beat Capablanca or something. I don't know. Really good classic games played by Alekhine on the white side of the Queen's Gambit. Everyone should sort of know if they play either side of this opening. So anyway, he's got a rook for a queen, a rook and piece for the queen. It's not enough, but I still have a little bit of work to do. I ended up getting a pawn in the deal too, so it's pretty much like decisive material advantage. Of course, the stronger players here know this is over, barring some kind of absurd oversight by me. I'm not sure if I should even play knight e5 here. It's probably fine. The entire bishop e7 line is pretty bad. Okay. We had a call from someone I really don't need to talk to right now. I'll have to call him back after the stream. So, what was I going to say? Oh, bishop e7. Well, even Hikaru plays the Queen's Gambit Decline, which I think is a strange choice, really. He's becoming a different player than he used to be. Like, Hikaru wants to prove something, that he's a solid player, not only a tactician. He played a wonderful endgame against Giri. His technique is getting awfully good. Now black is starting to get... He's getting stubborn. But generally speaking, you don't want to trade pieces when you're down material. And this position is no exception. I have to be a little careful of my rook being unprotected on c1. I think I can play this. I'm not really sure what am I threatening here. I mean, I know I have a one-move threat, but after that, beyond that, rook g8. See how aware he is now. g5, and you're still fighting in this position. g5 is still fighting. Let's go on, guys. Take another challenge. Troll's boring me. At least be inventive. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a boring troll. Challenge number 2. So guys, we have a poll in the Twitch chat. Sleepy Mario gets lucky. He always gets selected by the random challenge since we started it. No, just 2 days in a row. Maybe he was only here 2 days. So let's play e4. I don't think I've played e4 today. You remember Smallville? Yeah. Smallville. You mean the show or the account name? For Hikaru. There are two main ways for white to play. Bishop d3 and knight c3. You can also play c4 though. That's actually a principled move as well. I think that the Marazzi is a very high maintenance way to play, in my opinion. We had I had a very, very brief period where I actually started to play the Con Sicilian myself. I played a handful of games, but probably against mostly weak players. I don't know where the theory stands on this now. I mean, a long time ago, Queen G4 was was a new idea, but it seems like a good inclusion for white to force this weakening of black's king side. I mean, I remember in the old days when the theory wasn't really well known. Now there's probably hundreds of master games played from this position, basically. And now I don't know if I guess I'm supposed to play c4, maybe. It's certainly playable to go into a Marazzi here. Not the only way to play, though. It's hard to imagine that g6 can be favorable for black. I'm not sure if he has an alternative there, though. I remember g6 being the move. What's wrong with bishop f6? I don't know. I guess it takes away the knight's best square. That's the main problem with it. He did it anyway, so maybe that answers your question. I don't know, what the theory is. I know up till queen g4, queen e2, and then I'm out of book. I don't play e4 often enough to have a built-up, in-depth repertoire. I play e4 again, like on a relatively infrequent basis. It's just impossible to know, everything. Knight e7. I mean, it looks like white should be playing f4, f5 at some point. And there are other plans too. I mean, it's tempting to go bishop h6. There's nothing wrong with bishop h6, I suppose. Unless my bishop gets trapped with g5, which is not a joke. If I go bishop h6 and he goes g5, how do I free myself? Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. You know what? I don't like the look of like bishop h6, g5, queen h5, knight g8. When things get really strange. And, sometimes you see positions where black does like bishop takes c3. But can he really afford to give up his dark square bishop with all those weaknesses around on the dark squares? I'm not overly concerned about that. A knight on b3. Actually Mule Skinner plays the Con Sicilian, so he's probably fairly knowledgeable about this. A different line, though. The line that Mule Skinner plays is a little more solid. This is a riskier setup for black, one would assume. Okay. Now he has... Nope. Doesn't even consider bishop g7. Interesting. Is my bishop still going to get trapped with g5? It's a different story now, isn't it? But theoretically, still possible. I wonder if I should consider moving my queen. I mean, if he does g5, how's he going to actually trap the bishop? Now, I'm going to take my chances here. I could even play f4. No, I don't think he can do g5. It's just f4 is too dangerous for black. I could just open it up. Nah, he can't try this trap anymore. Not with his king on g8. Queen c7. Just making kind of natural moves. The rook on e8, opposite my queen, creates some havoc. I feel like I should go for it here. The quick f4. No queen c5, your favorite move, Mule Skinner, because of the knight on b3. But the problem is his rook on e8 sort of kills my ideas of playing f5. He always has these threats against my queen. We're obviously pretty aggressive here. Obviously. Black, it's kind of passive, yet somewhat durable. I'm looking for violent ways to break it open. Why the bishop on d3? Oh man, this is the like thing, the glue that holds White's whole position together. It's the ultimate defender. And if it breaks out, watch out, man. It's the most powerful pawn in the world, that bishop. You can't have everything. We have everything else. If we had a good white square bishop too, I think black would be toast. I mean, up and comer. You'll find that bishop on d3, queen on e2 is very standard in any of the lines with 4 bishop d3. I mean 5 bishop d3. This is like a very typical setup for white. Now, you know, it feels like we might have some kind of tactics. Dare I say the word? F5 I'm not real happy with, because he's got just grab it with the e pawn, opening up the e file for his rook on e8. Though maybe I'm not calculating enough with that. He just takes it. Yeah, take with the bishop on f5. e5 is an interesting clearance sacrifice, which might give me knight e4 at some moment. The problem there, I think that if there is a problem, the problem being that I don't have a strong enough follow-up. Interesting move here is queen f2. Trying to create some threats along the f file. Also stopping knight d4. I think this is a good prophylactic move for black to trade some pieces if he could. And finally, like, I'm getting my queen off the line of that rook on e8. I'm not sure that this is the best move for white, but it's a try. Here he can win a pawn with knight b4, bishop e2, bishop takes c3. Pawn takes c3, knight takes a2, which is a variation I'm obviously very concerned about. Instead he goes knight a5, but this is looking like this has got to be lights out. It's almost lights out. I have e5 here. All of his stuff is hanging. He can't afford to open the file. Church bells are ringing. He resigned here. Now it's winning. Knight a5 is a really bad move. if we check the theory, Queen G4 has become the main line. And Richie's right, you can play Bishop F6. Maybe it's safer. There's 785 games with G6 and 124 games with Bishop F6. The computer is actually suggesting King F8 as its second choice, which will probably go down in value. But Knight F6 sacking a pawn is possible too. So there's a lot of possibilities there. I played 6, sent a pawn loss. No inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders. But it was a short game, just 17 moves. So let's see here. Well, it looks like C4 is not the main move. Mostly they play castles. I guess this is... Bishop F6 is not good. It's just too slow. You need to develop more naturally here. That's where he kind of went wrong. And I was saying like Bishop H6, G5. That's not even good. I can even do F4, E5 here. So even Bishop H6 was good. It's just like clear advantage to white. Shit, man. Queen F2 is the best move. Stockfish best move, Queen F2. I'm proud of that move. That's the best move I made this week, probably. It's like winning. Just winning because of E5 threats. It does everything. The universal move. No, this is, it's just like so many things it does. It creates these threats down the F file. It gets off the E file rook. It stops him from playing knight D4, you know. And I wanted to get my queen kind of on the dark squares. Maybe I can come up here later on. Damn, Queen F2 is just brutal. Yeah, definitely best move of the week. Prize for that move. It feels good to be proud of myself for something. I'm usually so pessimistic and negative. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us here. We're over 50 viewers now, which is not bad. I'll be back tomorrow with a Friday stream, 10 a.m. CET here. We've got about half an hour left, a little under half an hour. So hopefully I have time for 2 more games. Let's try to get in 2 more games if we can. What do I got? Challenge number 4, Mule Skinner. I don't think we played Mule Skinner this week, did we? He plays the Benko. He plays the French. But I was actually lying about Mule Skinner playing the... Mule Skinner plays the French. And he heard his name mentioned. And I was confusing him with another player. I know better than him. He doesn't play the Con Sicilian. He plays the French. It was another player I've played a number of games with who plays that black Con Sicilian, but not with Bishop E7, not with Bishop C5. Yeah, so sorry about that, Mule Skinner, for misremembering your opening repertoire. I should know you play the French. I do know you play the French. Yeah, the poor mules. It's interesting. Lately, I started to be kind of fascinated with the white side of the reti, or Neo-Catalan, if you want to call it. The reti was an opening that I played a lot when I was coming up as an amateur. I remember, like, in 1990, I finished second in the U.S. Amateur Championship, like a tournament for players under 2200. There's a special, I don't know if they still have it, but there used to be a U.S. Amateur Championship. So it was an interesting tournament where I finished second to Edgar McCormick, who was like an old master. I mean, the guy had been like a solid master, but he was like 70 plus. He was probably 75 when he won this tournament ahead of me. I drew him in the last round. But my point was, I remember at that era in 1990, when I was a high school student, I was playing the ready a lot with white. And then at some point after I reached master, I sort of stopped playing the ready. I played the English a lot, but for some reason I kind of just stopped playing the reti. We say reti here. Reti, if you want to pronounce it correctly. If you want to feel cool, you tell people that it's not the reti, it's the reti. I heard it from a Hungarian. That I kind of like, what was it? Against Edgar McCormick, I could have won the U.S. Amateur Championship if I beat him. But I was black in a Caro Kann, and that was another problem. Another problem with my repertoire. Like, I was playing the Caro Kann. Not really a good winning weapon in the last round. Of course, as a 2100, I didn't know that. Alright, Mule Skinner. I lost to a guy who was using a computer in a tournament here yesterday in this position. He got banned. He played everybody in this whole like blitz tournament with like no cent-upon loss. Got reported and got banned. I got refunded my rating points. But it was an interesting game. I mean, d4, this is a valid line. Against the guy who I didn't know was a computer, I played e3 and went into a reverse Benoni, but maybe we should try b4. Your favorite opening. According to Nimzovich, you're supposed to attack the base of the pawn chain, not the head of the pawn chain. Therefore, my theory is that the Benko is actually more correct than the Benoni. Yeah, the reti should always be good. But the problem with the reti, though, is, in my humble opinion, is that after knight f3, d5, c4, d4 probably equalizes for black straight away. I mean, we reached this reti by a slightly different order of moves. So I don't like playing the pure reti anymore, like knight f3, d5, c4. I've kind of given up. Because of d4, it's just nasty. I mean, I don't think that white can get an edge. These weird lines with like b4 are probably not even very good for white. So I don't mind like doing like knight f3, d5, g3. But I've pretty much given up on playing knight f3, d5, c4. I don't know what the best move is here. I really don't know. This is like a declined Benko. Fortunately, he had to waste a move with e6. And in order to play e5, that's an extra tempo. If I have to win, I'll play the Caro Kann. Yeah, I played the Caro Kann, and then I should have played the Sicilian. That'll like I'll write that on my grave. Would have been U.S. Amateur Champion if I had the guts to play the Sicilian. But there's no guarantee I would have beat Edgar McCormick, who was still very knowledgeable. The guy died that year, actually. So I guess I could have been U.S. Amateur Championship by default. Can you still be the champion if you're dead? That's the question. He died like 6 months into his title defense. With perfect play, all sound openings are equal. Yeah, but is it correct for white to allow black to play d5, d4? You know, maybe black's even better after knight f3, d5, c4, d4. Maybe it's not equal. Maybe black's like 0.1 better after that. I'm not sure. We'd have to subject the opening to a very, very deep analysis. Okay, now it's Benko land here. He does have a lot of space, and I'm not really familiar with this. What is the plan? Knight b3. My favorite square, you guys well aware of that. The other plan would be maybe bishop b2, but how do I organize this? Okay, rook b1 might be a good waiting move. Of course, it could backfire in some positions. If black plays bishop f5 on my rook on b1, there's some situations where it could backfire. Then, like, the lamest way I can play this is the safest way is like knight b3 followed by bishop g5 and maybe try to trade some pieces. I don't know. It's a practical game, so I'm going to do this. I'm not in love with white's setup, though. I have less space. The knight on f6 controls these central squares, and I'm basically playing black with a move in hand. So trading a set of pieces should ease my cramped position. The Caro-Kann. Yeah, the short variation is it's like the sound way of playing the advanced variation. I mean, when the advanced variation started to become trendy in like the 80s, everyone was playing really sharp, you know, John Nunn style, knight c3 followed by g4, and then somewhere along the line somebody was like, well, short, I guess, you know, is the main connoisseur of this, but it seems to me that this is just a very safe way of playing for white in the advanced variation. The other lines with in the Caro-Kann defense, the advanced variation with e5 you guys are talking about, the other lines like h4 and what have you are violent. Bishop g4. You know, bishop g4 is very aggressive, but feels kind of hollow. It does tie me down to e2. I wonder if I should just take that bishop on d6 while I get the chance. And develop my pieces. We have the possibility of e3 now. But I think this position is objectively equal. I've got some play on the queen side, maybe the b file, but he's got some play in the center. Trying to play in the center here with e4. Wow, a5. That is a double-edged move. That might be a mistake because you weaken yourself along the b file. Now I play rook b1 with the idea of knight c1. I mean, this is a little abstract, but I thought we need a place to go with Mr. Knight, and we don't want to cut off our other rook's mobility. So I can guard maybe e2 with a knight and then mobilize my rooks on the b file. This is our only weakness. And this is why the Benko is so good. We have one snake, you know, this snake structure with this very strong pawn on c4. If black can't organize e4, then like all endgames are just good for me. I don't play the reverse Benko very often. Like the last time was a few years ago against Mark Esserman, and we had a crazy game where it was really back and forth, and eventually it was a draw. Ironically, I'm going to play him at my upcoming tournament in Balaton. There are 3 Americans. This Grandmaster tournament I'm going to on Sunday is funny. There's like 3 Americans, 3 Asians, and then a few Hungarians and a Greek guy. 3 Americans, 3 Asians, 1 from Indonesia, 1 from China, 1 from Australia, and then 1 Greek guy, and then 3 Hungarians. So really funny that 3 Americans would go to Hungary to play in a tournament, independently of each other. Now knight c1. That was a heads-up move by Mule Skinner, by the way. A really heads-up move. This knight is not optimally placed. But I didn't want to risk c5 because that would deprive me of what could potentially be a protected pass pawn. I remember this time I was white against my friend Javier Moreno, and it was like I was white in some kind of King's Indian that turned into a Benoni. And he basically beat me for no other reason than the fact that he had this like protected passed pawn on c5 in the ending, in an endgame type of position. And Mule Skinner is not going anywhere. He's going to a6. He's trying to go to a6 and c5. But how is he going to organize that? Ah. What a move. Defended everything. Damn, dude, does that work? We've got to have something here. Are you serious? Rook a7 holds for black. Is this a joke? What a maneuver. I think I can triple attack b6. That's like the computer guy. How the computer guy beat me with some kind of discovered attack on my queen. If I try to play rook b5, b6, queen b2, he has knight c5. Oh no, he doesn't, because it's a check on the back rank. Guys, like, I'm just excited about this position. Oh no. He has knight c5 first. Where do you come up with this stuff? Oh my god. This is an unofficial disaster. Now I don't know how to make progress. That's ridiculous. Rook a7, b6. How do you find these moves? Damn. Because we have to strike in the center. I'm running out of other ideas. Now what? I could do like knight a2. Doesn't feel right. How does he find these moves? Look at his score against me, how bad it is. But yet he plays so well. It's not the first time. So many games he's played so well. I don't understand how his score is bad. Now what, rook b6? What am I going to do? Sack the exchange here? I have no move. Now if I want to win, I have to play rook c2. But I think I stand slightly worse here. We insta-played bishop f5. Instantly. Damn, dude. It's just better for black now. This is a bad move. I'm just in time pressure, sort of freaking out. He's playing like God. Positional God. Now I have at least knight b4 for my poor pieces. Oh man, he had b5 there. I think he missed his chance to play b5. What? What? I just blundered. I just blundered the d3 pawn. Blunder and counter blunder. That's terrible. Whew, what a game until the point where we started blundering. It was very, 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 very close. He still has some threats here. But it's an incredible game. I mean, until the last 10 moves, where we both started to blunder. But I was the first one to blunder d3. This was a really well played game until move move 30 or so. Excellent play positionally by Muleskinner. Incredible defensive setup he engineered here with like rook a7 just in time to defend. Now he's like slightly better around move 30. This is slightly better for black. Nice game. Really well played. Guys, I really have to go, but we can play one quick game. Blue Crow 5-5 or Arsenal fan. That's the fastest challenge. Chess 965-3. Let's just play this last one against Arsenal fan because it's time to go. I'm going to take the faster challenge here. Alright, chess 960. 5 plus 3. This is a quick game. We've got two knights that can go to f3. I like this setup. But the end of that game was bad. I totally overlooked that my d3 pawn was hanging. But I was pretty depressed, to be honest with you guys. I was very depressed by that point. Like, you know you have nothing, and you can only probably draw at best. Kingside castling right away on move 3. That's awesome. 3-move castle. It looks like your standard Slav. Exciting. Kind of hard to avoid the symmetry here. I don't know about this. Could be interesting. Provocative move, bishop f4. I'm really going out on a limb with this move. Where else would I put it? You know, on g5 it just invites knight e4. Maybe I shouldn't put it anywhere. So now he castles. h3. And this is kind of a boring opening. Symmetry, or like h3, weakening my king side. I don't like either option, to be perfectly honest. Man, I hate this position. We're just wasting time. So you guys, the results of today's poll, that the majority, a solid majority of viewers preferred the random challenges. So we'll keep it like that for now. I'll be back tomorrow with another stream where we endlessly play symmetrical moves. Don't play h6. I had this one game I remember on the stream a few months, well, actually last year. One guy, I don't know if he was trying to be funny, but we had like 17 moves symmetry in a game once. Not chess 960 though. It was almost like a joke, but it kind of made sense. And Richie played b6, which seems a bit odd. Well, he's stopping my knight from going to c5, but I don't think it's really an issue for him, you know. But this shouldn't be something you have to fear. Maybe. I could see. I actually thought about this for black. But I think, for example, like he would be better off playing e6 than b6. And if knight c5, he can play queen e7. I can do the same thing. I can play queen e2. If knight c4, at some point I'll play queen e2. I've had many games where I had like an extra tempo and I didn't have a clue how to exploit it. Knight e4. This particular player is a big fan of central pawns. He likes to establish a pawn center. He also seems to play extremely strongly in chess 960. I think he's He's stronger in chess 960 than he is in normal chess, which is pretty rare. I think that's very rare, actually, for a player of his level. His real level is like 1800. But to be stronger in chess 960 than normal chess is kind of unusual. He hasn't played that many chess 960 games, but the ones he played against me were like just better than his normal chess games. Well, obviously, we have to allow an exchange of bishops, but I guess it doesn't really matter. This actually prevents f3 because of knight g3. Might be an extremely strong move. No way to get any kind of tactics going on, and I regret playing f3. He's a minute ahead of me on the clock so far. Not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. Maybe I should just go postal and play like f4. Might be better to trade the dark square bishops first and then do that. I don't really know. Instantly, he pre-moved queen b8. I'm just going to play faster. If he wants to play bullet, then we'll play bullet, I guess. But he seems a lot stronger than 1482. Don't know what's up with that rating. He's 1300 in bullet, but he plays like a master in chess 960. Look at this positional understanding Black shows here. Going for the e3 square, massive control of e4. It's like a stonewall attack, but a kind of bad one for white. I still have control of e5 though. I just don't really like playing the stonewall. As I said, it was my first opening when I was a beginner. Needless to say, I didn't have too much success with it, and I also, throughout my career, I haven't really had a lot of respect for the stonewall defense. I know that Magnus is playing it now, and it's kind of a trend. Damn, dude. I mean, I could just concretely be in trouble here. He actually won a game against me. That was that other game. He played really, really well. And now he's outplaying me again. I think I have to go to g2 to protect this e3 pawn. I don't like f5 for black. But I guess it's not that bad. He's giving me the e5 square. This is the first bad move he's played. Still, the position remains really close, but black had no reason to do f5. I think he was just better. He's getting excited because of the time, and he's like dropping a pawn here. He gets too excited trying to play for time, or just because he's got less time, more time. But now we're just winning a pawn. I mean, black played perfectly. Just played f5, and then another mistake. Black was like clearly better before f5. You just can't play increment chess like it's like the other guy's gonna run out of time. You just can't consider them running out of time a serious option. I mean, this is something that I learned in like 2003, playing a game against a kid where I was winning the entire game, but slowly he was hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, and he's actually a strong player, Teddy Coleman. And I just got tired and tired and tired, and then eventually it was a draw, but he had just his increment, not even increment, it was like time delay, 5 seconds, and I tried to like just play like blitz him, you know, with this, and I lost, because you just can't try to run the other guy over on the clock when they have 5 seconds per move. I don't care if it's increment or what have you. You know, it's just not a good idea. King h2 is an investment. Actually walking my king up into the diagonal. Everything's protected. Black simply has no pieces left to attack me with. But I was in huge trouble after like 15 moves in this game. Clearly better for black. Before he gave me the e5 square. h5 actually seems like a practical try. A good practical try, but it's too late. Just the black king will succumb to my stonewall attack. Two knights and mate. So really Rich's only problem here was just playing too fast. He achieved a great position with more time and just played too fast. Alright, thank you guys for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. CEST, with Fast Friday, just 5+3 Blitz. Thanks, Blue Crow, for moderating. I'm going to take off, guys. I'm a little bit late. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And we will also appreciate everybody who's send some appreciation to everybody who's donated to the stream, supporting us via PayPal. Also, the YouTube channel, you can donate. We had a donation the other day. Even just a small donation of $5 a year helps me to keep the channel, keep my YouTube channel, and keep the stream up and running. It's a big help. If not, you guys can contribute by just being here and playing and contributing to our analysis and discussion. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and we will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. CEST. And that'll be my last stream for a while, because I'm going to this tournament, which I mentioned here in Hungary. From the 11th to the 19th, the stream will be down, and we'll be back on June 20th. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks, Blue Crow.